In this episode of Project 380, I'm going to be cutting up the bonnet. Yes, you heard me right. Today I am going to be cutting up the bonnet. I've got a few upgrades for the bonnet, or hood, whatever you want to call it. I'll take you in closer for a better look. I've got some GC Fabrication bonnet vents and some Aerocatch bonnet latches. And both of these need the bonnet to be cut to be installed. So the first item being installed is the bonnet vents. And to do that, I really want the bonnet off the car. Got the bonnet now on a workbench, and the GC Fabrication bonnet vents actually use these 5 holes here that are already in the bonnet skeleton. They'll sit like this but on the other side of the bonnet. When you purchase the vents from GC Fabrications, they will email you some templates to be cut out on A4 paper, which are a 1:1 scale, which you can then cut out and place in the gaps in the skeleton. Now you can mark out where you need to cut. With all this clearly marked out and the templates removed, I would first suggest drilling the holes while the strength is still in the bonnet. So I'm going to come round with a centre punch, mark all the holes and drill them out. In the vent kit you are supplied with 3mm pop rivets. So I'm going to come in with a 3.5mm drill to allow a little bit of play. With all the holes drilled, I'm now going to come in with a cut-off wheel and cut out the vent holes. All the holes drilled and all the vent holes cut out and all the sharp edges removed, it's now time to test fit the vents. Now with all the vents test fitted, usually you would remove them again and paint all the bare aluminium to stop it corroding again. But in my case, I'm actually going to be repainting the whole bonnet, so these are all coming back out temporarily. The bonnet is back on the car now, and you can see the bonnet vents are looking pretty damn good. But they also have a functional purpose. These are going to make the radiator more efficient. It's going to help with the airflow that has passed through the radiator vent out and go somewhere, rather than the air coming through the radiator and gaining turbulence through the engine bay. Hopefully these will make coolant temperatures and engine bay temperatures greatly reduced. But there's one more thing to make this even more efficient. and that is the Davefab cooling panel, which sits there, but it would sit on top of the bumper. This is going to help direct the airflow through the radiator, instead of coming through the bumper, hitting the radiator and coming back up. So with the cooling panel here, the air should go straight in the bumper, through the radiator and out through the bonnet vents. It will become more apparent how this works once the bumper is on, and you can see how this panel fits in the bumper and stops that airflow going up. Now there are two options for the Davefab cooling panel, with or without the latch cutout. Since I'm now about to install the bonnet pins, I've gone without the latch cutout. So since I've gone with the Davefab cooling panel without the latch cutout, there's no way to lock the bonnet down. So I've chosen a set of lockable Aerocatches. And unless these are already unlocked with the key, the bonnet pin won't release. To install the Aero latch, we first need to pick a hole in the slam panel where the bonnet pin goes. Ideally, I would have liked to use this hole, but it goes right here and would interfere with the GC Fabrication bonnet vents. So I'm gonna pick this hole here. I may have to trim down the bumper a little bit, as this hole here is where the bumper screws into. So that I know where the bonnet pins are going to go through the bonnet, I'm going to put a tiny bit of grease on the top of each. And then I'm going to close the bonnet. Hopefully the grease will transfer to the bonnet, giving me a position to drill the holes. And on the underneath of the bonnet, I've got one grease mark and two grease marks. So now I know where I've got to drill. I've covered up the engine bay so that when I drill the bonnet still attached to the car, all the metal shavings won't make a mess in my engine bay. So I've just drilled through the first skin of the bonnet, and I'm going to reapply a bit of grease to the bonnet pins. And close the bonnet again and make sure I'm drilling through the bonnet straight. Now I'm going to come in with a normal drill bit and drill all the way through the bonnet. With the bonnet now off the car, I've used masking tape to take a few measurements to make sure the holes that have come through the bonnet are in the right position. So now I've taken the nut plate from the Aerocatch, I've put a bit of masking tape on it, and I've worked out, using the instructions in the kit, where the latch pin is going to come through. So now I'm going to centralise that on the hole and then draw around it. Using this outline and the centre hole, I have measured up 30mm from the centre hole, which is relevant to these top holes here. Now we can align it up, we can make sure it's all nice and square, then we can draw around the inside of the nut plate and dot the holes. Again with this I'm going to do the same as I've done with the bonnet vents, and I'm going to drill the holes first. For this you're going to need a 4mm drill. With the holes all drilled, I can now cut away the centre. After a little bit of trimming, it's now time for a test fit. So it's not sitting all the way down here. That's because it's hitting the inner skin. Luckily, we now have to remove that, so that I put the nut plate in from the other side. Made my little access hole only just big enough so I could get the nut plate in and out and gain access to all the nuts. Now it's time to test fit the Aerocatch. Now with the bonnet latches temporarily installed, it's now time to clean the bonnet and test fit it back on the car. Now all I've got to do is set the height of the pins, as it's sitting a little bit high. So that's the GC Fabrication bonnet vents, some Aerocatch bonnet pins and the Davefab cooling panel all installed. Now it's starting to really look like a functional race car. If I was going to do this again, I'd choose a different place for the bonnet pins, as they are sitting at a funny angle. I would have liked to put them right here, but that would have interfered with the GC Fabrication bonnet vents. So unfortunately this is all temporarily installed, as I would like to paint the bonnet, but I've got a couple of other jobs I need to do first. Everything I've installed today is down in the description below. If you like this video or learned anything new, make sure you hit that like button, leave us a comment down below, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.